Call this meeting to order. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I see there is one addition to the agenda. That would be 7F Seal Coat Project. Then there was one that was removed.
Yep.
Unless there's anything else, could I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Open forum, if anybody would like to speak at the open forum, this is time to do it. All right, we're on to the consent agenda. Approval of the minutes, approval of the bills and purchase orders, approval of the investments. There's a couple donation resolutions. Resolution number 25-6, a donation from the Melrose Lions in the amount of $1,000 to the Melrose Area Chamber of Commerce towards a Deuces Wild Scholarship. Resolution number 2025-7, a donation from the Melrose American Legion in the amount of $500 to the Melrose Area Chamber of Commerce for the Deuces Wild Scholarship. And then the third one is resolution number 2025-9, a donation from Pliant in the amount of $1,000 towards the Melrose Fire Department. There is one gambling resolution also. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. A presentation, Life-Saving Award. Gina, would you want to talk about it? I'll let you talk about it. How about that?
On December 4th, 2024, Steve presented to Melrose ER with chest pain. It was quickly determined he was having a STEMI, which is a more critical type of heart attack. He needed to be transferred directly to the cath lab in St. Cloud. This type of transfer is a critical care transport requiring ALS units or helicopters. Steve was experiencing quite a bit of pain, and he was experiencing one of the more critical types of blockages. In this situation, we have defib pads already on the patient and ready to use if needed. Our hope is we don't need to have them, but having them in place, if needed, saves crucial time. Due to the nature of the condition, we had 2 ALS providers, Allison Hiltner and Gina, myself, on board with Steve in the back. We had one of our more experienced members, Tyler Welly, driving lights and sirens for the transport. During the transport at about Freeport, Steve's pain was getting worse. His cardiac rhythm changed and he lost a pulse and stopped breathing. Manual compressions were started. Allison and Gina were able to quickly diagnose the rhythm change and appropriately treat the dysrhythmia. Tyler was keeping track of the activity in the back and was able to continue emergent transport and request additional ALS unit to start our way in case we needed more hands. The treatment was successful and a regular pulse returned. After a few additional minutes, Steve began to breathe by himself and regularly, followed by regaining consciousness. The only concern Steve had at the time was he had a sore chest, which sounded about right because he had some ladies pushing pretty hard on him. Tyler was able to cancel the additional units. Everything had stabilized. When we arrived at St. Cloud Hospital, Steve was alert, still having quite a bit of discomfort, but made it to the cath lab and was ready for his procedure. Every crew member made an impactful addition to the team. Tyler, our driver that night, was in constant communication with the crew and other resources. What Steve needed as soon as possible was the cath lab, and Tyler got him and the crew there quickly and safely. Allison and Gina were the crew working in the back with Steve and provided life-saving treatment and ongoing supportive care. The unique thing about EMS is we have very limited space and very limited resources to work with. This takes a special group of individuals who spend a lot of time training and preparing for these types of situations. And it also takes a supportive community to keep the service and equipment updated and ongoing. We are honored to be here tonight to celebrate Steve and those involved with his care.
A few words that I have to say is, and I might be biased because I'm on the fire department, but local help makes the difference. It's something that everybody should know. Local is always better. If we have to wait for someone from St. Cloud, it's not gonna work. If we're gonna have to wait for people from Alexandria, it's not gonna work. People should know that, local EMS, or police departments, fire departments, it's needed, and it's what keeps a community alive. I am so excited for you, Steve. Get that chance on life, and I bet your appreciation is a lot different, and it really humbles our hearts when we can help keep someone here, because it's a hard battle. So when there's a save, those are the blessings that we like to see, and I congratulate you 100%. And also with our EMTs, and part-time ALS, I'm glad we're doing it. It is making a big difference. And so for that, we are handing out awards, life-saving awards, and I will just read what it says. In appreciation and recognition for a successful effort in saving a human life, which involves exceptional courage and performance on the Melrose Fire Department. And this will go to Gina Eggert, it will go to Tyler Rademacher, and it will go to Allison Hiltner. So everybody made the difference. Oh, I'm so sorry, the ambulance department. I told you I'm biased, but you know how much I appreciate all of you. So I would like to congratulate you, and I want to give them all a round of applause. And I would like Steve to help me come up, and I'll present the paperwork, and I would like you to give them their pins. So if we can take a few pictures with all of you, if you three could come up.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Appreciate it. Me too.
And if we could just get one, picture with our group, if that would be all right, if the council can come down here, and all of you, you guys want to come in here, and you, Steve, just take a picture with us here. And here, I don't know if Sheila's getting a picture over here. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you for your.
Yeah, no, it's important to all of us, and we're glad it's here.
Thank you, sir.
So, all right, if we can give them all a round of applause. A little treat, all right? All right. Okay. We are on to year in review. Colleen, if you can tell us about 2024.
I sure can. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This works. So, I actually thought I had my stuff in front of me. I don't, so I'm going to have to turn slightly. However, this is our 2024 year in review. We do this every year. And we talk about, obviously, what all happened in the city and what tax dollars and the ratepayers are paying for. So these are some of the things that happen throughout the year in 24. The first thing I think is really important to note is where do we sit in terms of tax comparisons. So if you look at this chart, and you can see up here, it might be a little hard to read, but Melrose is actually over here. So we're in the bottom third of the communities as far as our taxes go. So that's something that we are very proud of. We do a very good job with budgeting and financing, and we do a very good job with capital improvement planning, and so therefore we're able to keep our taxes lower for our citizenry. The other thing that I think is really interesting is our net tax capacity continues to rise. What that means is the value of homes, the values of commercial buildings and other things continue to increase, and so that just simply means that we are able to have more value to base the taxes on. So where do our revenue sources come from? Well, our revenue sources actually come from several areas. Property tax is one of them. The second largest one to property taxes is local government aid. So that is another area where we receive a significant amount of dollars that go into our general fund. And then the other bigger contributor to our general fund revenue is our electric franchise fees. So the city of Melrose owns their own utility, and that we own electric, water, and wastewater, but the electric sends a franchise fee into the city every year. So where do these things get spent? This is a breakdown of how things are spent. The largest expenditures are on our public safety side. Then it is transfers out. That transfer out is actually the money that we use to pay for capital improvements that we do throughout the year. Admin and finance accounts for 17%, the streets for 20%, parks and rec for 2%, community development is 4%, and then there's miscellaneous and legal. So we had a lot of changes in 24 in terms of personnel. We had several new employees hired. We had Jackie Niehaus, who is our finance director, Alexandra Evenson, who is, our receptionist, Adam Root, who is one of our police officers, Justin Lundblad is an electric line person, Steve Kortenbush is our part-time street maintenance worker, Andy Klophocky is working for the wastewater department, Andrew Rusling is working for, he is our new street supervisor, and then Alyssa Lashinsky is a police department officer, part-time. New council and boards, Mark Niehoff is on our council, and Joe Matt is on our planning and zoning commission. Retirements included Gary Mittendorf. Gary was a very long time employee with the city of Melrose. He was here for, I want to say, almost 40 years. Tim Vogel was another very long time employee for the city of Melrose, and he retired as well. Ryan Meyer, who was our finance director, actually got a job a little closer to home. So Justin Freeler, who held office on the council for a number of years, is not running again. He actually is, I think he lives outside the city limits now. Adam Paulson, again, another valued member of our community. He had obligations. Fran Hennenkamp, Felicia Mundus, and Matt Mormon were all employees that are no longer with us. New police reserve, we had Adam Cater and Dawson Wadvogel. New fire department members include Gabe Schwieters and Barry Hellerman. And then new ambulance department, we saw Nick Guzik, Allison Hilkner, Jessica Adrian, Karen Nelson, Kyle Solovitz, I'm probably not going to say that right, and Morgan Stones. Allison and Nick both, and I'm not sure about the other folks, but I know that Allison and Nick are people that can serve on our ALS. We had liquor licenses and tobacco and rental, so we had several of these. In addition to that, this community is very generous with their donations, so we received we meaning that this was donated to the fire department, the ambulance department, other folks, the chamber, and we received over $57,000 in donations in 24. This is probably one of the most exciting things for us. We've been, as we all know, as obviously the council knows, because they've been working on it along with the Economic Development Authority and the Planning and Zoning Commission. Housing has been a huge priority for our community in the last few years. And these numbers really reflect that. So we have had a very big increase in our building permits in the last 2 to 3 years, and our valuation is pretty significant as well. So just to do a comparison, in ~24, our total revenue from building permits was our total value, was $29,856,412.43. So breaking that down, there was roughly $3 million in residential maintenance, 1.2 in new construction. There was 2.4 in commercial or industrial maintenance, and then 22 million in commercial or industrial new construction last year. That's a very exciting number for us. Again, the 3-year total, if you look at the past 3 years, is $75,272,000 in revenue. 24 and 23 were the second and third highest behind 2017 when the Genio facility was built. So to put it in perspective, there are 102 new apartment units that were completed in 2024. There's development on Craft Drive. Stearns Electric headquarters has begun, and we can all see the work that they're doing out there. Quick Trip actually was completed and opened on February 29th. Carson's Industries, their shipping and receiving department moved to the Melrose I-94 Industrial Park. 2 plats completed for Highlands area expansion. This is the first time since 2002 that we have opened up new single-family lots. So that's an extremely exciting development for the city of Melrose. And, you know, from all indications, it sounds like there's a lot of interest in these lots right now. Under the Streets and Parks Department, there was a new kayak launch that was put in down at Sock River Park. There was new playground equipment installed at the campground. This was a collective effort between the playground company, the Lions were very generous in their donation, and I believe, and the city staff as well. So this was a very collaborative effort to get this playground built, and this is right in the camp where the camping takes place. This is a nice little addition of a toddler playground there. There was also a new John Deere mower and snowblower that was purchased. In August 3rd, 2024, there was a tornado that came through town. What I think is important about when this happened to come through town is we very much saw, as the mayor was talking about with the German students, how a small community comes together and works on things. And this was a great example of how that happened. When this storm hit, we had all departments present helping, and we also had area fire departments, utility departments from other areas as well as the county all helping. And so we were able to actually get things picked up in a very short order. In addition to that, we have a program within the city, and we were able to lend some grant funds to folks, which was also a very nice thing. Projects completed. Main Street was finished in '24. That was the second biggest project that we have done in the last 5 years. So, well, third, I guess, if you count Molly's Hill. So Molly's Hill was a big project, and then you look at the bridge, which was a very large project and took a significant amount of time. And then we got to Main Street, and that was also a very big project. It included not just the street, but it included sewer and water as well. I am happy to say that we don't have any major projects like this in '25. I think the residents of Melrose are probably getting a little construction fatigue with all the projects that we've done. We certainly have projects that we'll be doing, but just not to the extent that we have in the last few years. First Street was completed, Highland Boulevard Extension, which is another exciting development. that is what allowed us to be able to have the folks plat the lots on the north side, because we were able to extend Highland Boulevard. County Road 168, I think that's a very critical one. Sheila, our Community Development Director, wrote a grant that we were able to get in place to put a very nice 10-foot sidewalk in there, and it's a very, very well used. So on the electric department side, we had 16 total outages for 2024. I think when they put this together, they might not have had the information for the tornado day, but anyway, other than that day, we had 16 total outages. 7 of them were scheduled maintenance, 8 were unscheduled. And then they had 1 scheduled customer plan maintenance outage. There was a new service line at Wobegon Crossing. There was Stearns Electric. We had to run a lot of electric out there for them, and that was completed. There was light poles installed along Railroad Avenue, and there was upgrades on the rural lines, as well as extending power service to Carson Industry in the industrial park, and a bunch of 3-phase and single-phase meters with all of our new apartments, farm line, additional lights on Craft Drive, and new services for St. Mary's Maintenance Building. So just kind of going into numbers to put it in perspective, there was 9,200 feet of interduct and conduit, 16,700 feet of 15 kV cable that was installed, 3,800 feet of 600 volt of secondary cable, a new switch, transformers, and we ran the power plant twice for grid reliability. We did not have to run the power plant we were not called to run the power plant from Missouri River Energy Services for it being too cold or being too warm. We came close, but we didn't have to do it for that. We just ran it for what we typically would run it for. I think what's interesting is when you look at this also, there was 132 new residential electric connections in 2024. Wastewater update. Biosolids is always a big thing. They hauled 1.5 million gallons of biosolids were hauled out of the wastewater plant and put out in the fields. There was several jetting done. I'm not sure where this picture came from. I don't recognize any of those. And then also we did the fall hydrant flushing. There was actually quite a bit more done on that wastewater side as well. And then, of course, the police department, they received a new SUV. We were very glad to get that because it was one that we had, I think, asked for, 3 years ago or 2? It was a long time in coming. There's an upgraded camera system. There was a cost share with the school district for a radio system. There's a new system that's been implemented by Stearns County. I believe that's the Tyler Tech, right? And so our police department is participating in that. There is a new full-time officer as a hired and a part-time officer. The calls are up by 407 compared to 2023. So other things that happened, we have new security measures that were installed at the Public Works and the power plant building along with the fire and ambulance. So we did the admin offices here a couple years ago, and what we did is we realized that we needed better security at our public buildings, and so we installed the key fobs and camera systems. We're still working on the camera systems at Public Works, but the camera system's been installed at fire and ambulance. So we continue to upgrade security. We continue to look at security measures and where we can improve upon those, and this year we are planning on doing, again, some things at the Public Works building, and then tackling the wastewater plant, and that one's a bit of a challenge. I believe there's 60-some doors there, so that could be interesting. There was new flooring put out throughout the admin area and new counters and cabinets. Those were all original to 90, 91, so we needed to. They were literally falling apart on us, so it turned out very well. Of course, we always use local when we do these things, so that's good. New retaining wall as well. That retaining wall is another example of something that was really falling apart, and we replaced it. You can see in that picture that it's obviously right next door to the new apartment building. So if you look at the fire department, the breakdown of calls were 51 fire, 23 rescue, 49 medicals, and then 6 others. The ambulance had 1,160 calls. That is significantly higher than what they had the year before. The number of patients they helped were 928. And then this is a breakdown of the different types of calls they had. And then we get into the legislature for 24. I'll be honest with you, not a lot happened. Unfortunately, last year's session wasn't all that great. There was some changes to local government aid, which impacted us positively. So that is something. We were able to receive a little bit more, but there was no bonding bill that was passed. They essentially didn't get that done. There was some additional, for small cities, there was some funds available, and we were able to take advantage of that as well. As you can see here, there were very few check marks. It was unfortunate because it just wasn't, it wasn't a great year for greater Minnesota in terms of the legislature last year. We're hoping this year that we're going to see a few more things. The priorities continue to be housing, daycare, emergency medical services out in the rural areas, and infrastructure. So infrastructure, I mean water, wastewater. Looking ahead to 25, one of the things that we are now doing is we are taking reservations for Sock River Park Campground. Already to date, we have over $2,000 worth of reservations. So that is through a program. It's called Camp Spot, and people can go on there and put their reservations in. I do want to note that because people are so used to being able to drive into our park and be able to be there, we have left four of the campsites that people can just, they don't have to reserve. It's a first come, first served basis. But where the circle is, if you're familiar with the campground, all those sites will be on a reserve basis. Also, we're going to be getting a new audio system in here, and then city center parking lot will be reconstructed. Finally, and I think this is probably most important, even though not everyone is represented in here, this is truly a representation of our city. And by that I mean our employees. A city, is only as good as its leadership. So I would like to take the opportunity to very much thank the council for their leadership. I would also like to thank the Public Utilities Commission for their leadership, as well as the Melrose Area Development Authority, Planning and Zoning, and Parks. So all of our volunteer boards, with their visions and their ideas and their enthusiasm and their support, have really helped us, allowed us as staff to be able to accomplish what we've been able to accomplish in the last couple of years. I know I say this all the time, but I believe it's very true. We have an excellent staff here. We've had challenges. As you know, we have been short-staffed in a couple of key areas, and we continue to struggle with that. But despite that, we have still been able to really be able to accomplish great things. And that only happens because the employees believe in the mission of what is strong, diverse, connected for the community, and they believe in the mission of helping the community. That is what they do, and they do it very well. So I really want to take this opportunity to thank all our staff, all our consultants. Dave is here, and others. Scott obviously has had to give us lots of legal advice this last year, and so we are very appreciative of that. And I just think that that's how it happens. And I just want to, again, thank everyone here for everything that they have done, and of course, all the staff and all the council as well. With that, I'll open up it for any questions. Otherwise, I am done.
Okay,
Thanks.
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you very much for that, Colleen, and thank you so much for the staff everything that, all the numbers that were put together. Appreciate everything that staff has done and clean for this presentation. I think it's very good for the citizens to see what is happening in town, because that's one thing I hate hearing is nothing's happening in Melrose. At least when you start seeing this, there's a lot of things that do happen that people maybe don't realize because we live here, so. All right, well, we're at 6:30, we're gonna have to get moving, we're on to the reports. Chief of Police.
In the traffic area for January 2025, we had 15 citation, 80 verbal warnings, and 10 written warnings. Most of those were related to parking. For the month of January in 25, we had 255 calls, requests for service. Last year was 323, so we're down by 30 starting the year out. We had 4 agency assists, which is generally we're in the teens, and we used to be in the upper 20s and lower 30s. So it's intriguing to see how that's playing out. But other than that, I don't have much more than to say. I got word that our new squad car should be here at the end of the month, which is unusual compared to, like Colleen said, the 2024 that took us 28 months to get. So I'm still optimistic, but we'll be holding back on that just a smidge bit in the event of any changes in transportation or anything else. But they say it was built last week, so when it's in the garage, I'll believe it. So, any questions?
Thank you for that.
Okay.
All right, city attorney report. Oh, thank you. All right. Community Development Director.
Good evening. At this coming Monday night's meeting, Planning and Zoning is going to be holding 2 public hearings. One is to update the solar portion of the zoning ordinance for addressing solar systems within the city limits. That ordinance hasn't been looked at since 2015, so we thought it was time to take a look at it. There is also going to be an amendment of the conditional use permit for Railroad West, which will allow the Roach development. We are also going to start looking at how to address murals in the city. Planning and Zoning is working on an idea to create a permit process before murals can be put up. And other items addressed by Planning and Zoning at their January meeting are agenda items coming up here tonight. As expected, we are reviewing some proposals from electronic billboard companies that are interested in coming to town. And Attorney Demick and I are working on a subdivision project. Kira purchased the assisted living and senior living portions from Centricare a while back, and they are running it, but they haven't divided up the real estate. So we are working on, and as you know from, the way it's built, that's a little bit dicey trying to figure out, where the boundaries are between assisted living and the regular hospital. And so that's a project that we are currently working on. And that's all I have tonight.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. City Engineer, Mr. Dave.
All right, good evening. Plans for the 2025 project, despite it being smaller, like Colleen said in her report there, are coming along nicely. We actually have a survey crew heading out next week, hoping for a little bit of melting along the sidewalks. We're going to do new pedestrian ramps. But other than that, things are moving along. Should have your approval at the next meeting for authorization to advertise. So, ready?
Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yep.
So, action item, it's going to be a resolution number 2025-8, a resolution approving a moving permit and conditional use permit for Blue Properties. Do you want to talk about it?
Yes, at the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting on January 27th, the commission held a public hearing at the request of Blue Can Properties for a moving permit and a conditional use permit on the parcel they own. The permit would allow a single-family home to be moved into Melrose, which is allowed under the zoning ordinance. The Planning Commission recommended to the council that the moving permit and conditional use permit be approved. The planning report, as approved by the commission, was attached in your packets. I believe I have a slide.
Oh, I can look, sorry.
I think I had her put one in.
There
There we go. So here is a picture of the house and the lot where it is going. So for reference, there is the 8-plex over by Centricare. Behind that, Joe Hennon owns a empty lot. And so he has a request to move this home from Freeport into Melrose and put it on that lot. He appeared before Planning and Zoning. They got all their questions asked. If you have any questions for me tonight, I can address them. There are certain conditions placed in the conditional use permit in terms of how much time he has to do it, by when it has to be issued a certificate of occupancy. So the action item we're asking for tonight is to amend or adopt the resolution authorizing the moving permit and conditional use permit.
All right, can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Ordinance number 2-20-25, 2025, an ordinance amending Melrose City Code, Chapter 32, Section 32.01, Parks and Rec Board, to approve additional board members.
So I don't know, Colleen, if you want to take this one? or
No, you
should I?
can, you're up there, so you might as well. It's just, yeah, go ahead, it's
Yeah.
just weird.
At your January meeting last month, we discussed this, and we discussed the park board composition. There is an interest from additional people to be on the park board, and we talked to both planning and zoning and the Melrose Area Development Authority, and they wanted to hold on to their seats of representation on the board. So in order to make room for 2 extra individuals, tonight we're asking you to consider an ordinance expanding the park board to 7 people. That would create 2 additional openings, and so immediately after this meeting, we would solicit applications to be on the park board.
And are we gonna make sure we stagger them so they're all within? All right, okay. Can I get a motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. C is ambulance protocol. Did we have any questions on anything with that?
So, rather than giving you guys the packet, which is about this thick, and it changes quite often, but what we did is we provided you with the appendix and the corresponding pages of the Melrose Ambulance EMS guidelines, so it explained in there what the changes were. A lot of them have to do with ALS. So it's just the council to give consideration to amending the EMS guidelines. As presented, Dr. Gillen, the medical director, goes through these, and then he has changes.
All right, can I get a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Okay, so street department, zero-turn lawnmower?
Yep, so Andrew Lusing, our street supervisor, has obtained 3 quotes for a zero-turn lawnmower for the Public Works Department. The recommendation is to go with the Toro 31 horsepower zero-turn lawnmower from MTI in the amount of $11,354. We're looking for a motion on that. It was in the budget for this year.
All right, that's the one, was that the one out of the cities?
I'm not sure where they're out of, sir.
No
I'm
big deal.
sorry.
Right, right.
Right here. Isn't it Ole's out of Alec?
Yeah, they're out of Alexandria, I believe.
Yep, no, I just.
Oh, no, they're this one.
Sorry.
So they are out of, they're Toro, I'm not sure where they're located. They're on they're the Minnesota State
Yeah,
contractor.
yeah, I just didn't know, only question I had is I'm willing to go through with it. Is there someone local that can fix it? Because I know it was out of the cities, I believe is where they were out of.
Yeah, it's a Toro, I'm not sure. That would be a question Andrew would probably have to answer. I don't know that. Let me
Yeah.
see. Yeah,
I don't see an address either.
yeah, I don't see an address,
Okay.
so, sorry.
Well, that's fine.
But we can,
Yeah.
I can find out for you if you want.
Yeah, no, I'm fine. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, motion carried. And then we're on the ambulance department purchase for 2025.
So, the Melrose Ambulance Department received a one-time payment from the state of Minnesota for EMS aid totaling that is the one thing that the legislature did do, they did fund EMS in '24. So, $150,750.35. The funds need to be encumbered or spent no later than December 31st, 2025. There is a big lead time for a lot of the equipment that they're looking to buy. So there was a packet, there was attached in your packet a spreadsheet that discusses the breakdown of the funding and what the ambulance department wishes to purchase. Essentially, what the department is doing is they're moving items that were scheduled for 26 and 27 to 25. And then simply putting them in this year's budget, so then we won't have those items in 26, 27, in one case actually in 28. They did get thrown a little bit of a curveball though. When we first put this together for you guys, the one thing that Gina was just made aware of is they are not going to, they no longer warranty our existing Lucas machines and they will not repair them. Which unfortunately our Lucas machines are okay, they're fine, but if they're not gonna warranty them and not repair them, they thought maybe it would be best if we did replace our Lucas machines. So what we can do is, it has to follow obviously all the purchasing and everything, so as each of these is ordered, then we can come back and, you know, you guys on the consent agenda or whatever can approve them, but we'd really like you just to give consideration essentially to spending the $150,000 on equipment is basically what we're looking at. Obviously, subject to the purchasing policy, so whatever that line item is, and if it has to come back to you guys, it would.
I'll make the motion.
All right,
Second.
second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, motion is carried. Then the add-on to 2025 seal coat project.
Yep, so Andrew is preparing the plans, specs, and bid package for the 25 seal coat project. And they would like to advertise for bids. I think there might be a map in here. No, it was an add-on, so I don't know as we got a map. There was a map sent. Was a map? Oh, because he was gonna, yeah, he had a little, his kids was sick, so he couldn't be here. Did we get a map?
Yes, and we did, I scanned it, but I don't have the extra, I can't get the extra.
Okay, that's fine.
No, we gotta, yeah, we're going just for bids, we don't, that's fine. with
Okay.
me.
If,
We can talk about it
next, yeah, next month, he can certainly bring in what the areas that it would be covering.
All right, no, that's fine.
Okay.
All right, yeah, okay, so we got that, then we're on the new business planning, and we got a motion, okay, yeah, motion to
I'll
approve
make
the
a
bid.
motion on that. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried. There is no business, new business is planning and zoning review of budget and planning.
Yes, this is a statutory requirement. So at its meeting on January 27th, the Planning and Zoning Commission reviewed the non-equipment-related capital improvement projects proposed for 2025 to 2029. Minnesota statute 462.356 requires that planning and zoning take a look at the city's plans, including acquisition, disposition of land, to make sure it's proper with the comprehensive plan. So that's what they did. In the capital plan, there is not a lot of acquisition, disposition plans at this time. If anything comes up or any opportunities happen in 25, we'll bring them individually to planning and zoning. But as it is right now, what is in the capital plan, they have said that it is in accord with the comprehensive plan. So no action is required at this time. I'm just reporting that we followed the statute and did what we were supposed to.
Thank you. We're on to informational items, utility commission meeting minutes, and then there was one for conferences and schools. Is there any questions? Okay, to get a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, meeting adjourned.